there's some legitimate concerns that I think women can have in this conversation, or people can have without it being transphobic. And that's really the point I really wanted to make at the end of all this. Like, it becomes hard to have this conversation that just because somebody has a difference of opinion, you want to throw a phobia on somebody. No, motherfuckers ain't scared of that shit. Sorry. But a person may feel like, hey, man, I don't want to live in y'all fucking world that doesn't make them transphobic. Right? Y'all gotta look up words, yo. Phobia has a fear on the back end. Now, if somehow people were fearful that women are going to be replaced by by trans women, okay, I can see your point, but that's not what's happening. You know what I'm saying? Because I think most women are pretty confident in their superpower, you know, even if they're not using it or choosing not to. So I think we got to be honest. Like, the real conversation is how much each side wants to give to each other to allow them to live their reality. One side already has history behind them in regards to their version of reality, right? And the other side want us to participate so that they could be more comfortable living theirs. I'm okay with meeting y'all some of the way, but it damn sure ain't gonna be halfway. Let's be clear. The numbers don't add up. The journey ain't the same. So I just feel like people just might have to take what they can get. You know what I'm saying? And we got to negotiate piece by piece. It ain't all gonna be. Oh, and one last thing I want to say too, right? Because I heard the speech that the brother gave, and he low-key was calling old girl manly. Like, I forgot the brother's name because he got mad that Jessica said what she said, and he was making a diatribe about how it could affect her because some woman got killed by a man who thought she was a trans woman, but she wasn't. She was really a woman who looked like a man. And then homeboy said, Jessica, he basically, and I said, oh my God, the level of shade. Good sir, okay? What Jessica did would not make us transphobic. But what you did might, though, for real, for real. You was doing way too much, my guy, to try to make a fucking point. And that be the problem. Y'all don't have one. Y'all be bending over backwards. Can I say that?
We said a lot of things on this, so, I don't see why not.
I'm
So,
sorry.
Yeah, that's not the worst thing you said. You're okay.
yeah. Yeah, so.
Go ahead, Esther. Save me from myself.
So I'm going to say that I stand with Jess on this. You know why? Because I'm tired of the being considered transphobic and just because I value being a woman and stand on the fact that I am a woman. I don't need the word cis in front of it. You know why I don't need the word cis in front of it? Because I'm already a woman biologically. And for those who are not or who are biologically women who want to be trans men and still have birth, hey, that's your prerogative and you can call yourself a man. But when we get down to the rooty tooty of the goodies, you got a vajayjay. That's how you're able to have that baby. And biologically in the world, as in human nature, as a matter of fact, just nature in general, there's male and there's female. And one side can have baby, one side cannot, regardless of if you present yourself a certain way. And so you can present yourself as a male all day, but as long as you have the innards of a biological woman, then technically, yes, you are a woman having a baby, regardless of how your face looks. Now, I will call you what you want to call by your preferred pronoun, and I will identify you as the man that you want to be identified as, but your function, unless you take all that out and replace it with the built-in penis, according to surgery, apparently they take your uterus, invert it, sew it up and all that good stuff, something like that. Unless you have these surgeries and you no longer can have a baby, guess what? You're still a woman because you had all the function in the first place. I'm going to get a lot of hate on this, and I'm really not trying to be transphobic in any shape, way, or form, but I am so tired of being told that I'm the problem and people like Jess is the problem because we identify womanhood differently than the trans community. And this is no shade against the trans community in any shape, way, or form. So my thing is, you want us to be tolerant and say, hey, we only want equality. We only want inclusiveness. But then you fail to include us because you want to add extra stuff to us so that now we all got something in front of it. So you can't just say I'm a trans woman or a trans man. So now we got to be cis women because you can't just own up to being trans in front of it because ultimately it's like, well, but I'm a woman. That's what I identify with. Well, you know what? that's fine. You can identify as a woman, but you still have a uterus. And, or if you don't have a uterus because you're actually a man who's cosplaying as a woman, then that's fine too. This is your prerogative. And stop trying to ask me and people like me to say, oh, you are a woman because you identify as woman. Hey, I respect your pronouns all day. I will stand with you. I will say equality, equality all day. But at the same time, I need you to respect my boundaries too. And if I want to be called a woman without having cis in front of it or any of that stuff, then you should be okay with just calling a woman because that's what I identify as. So I stand with Jess on this. She went a little far on one of her videos that apparently was deleted because she viewed it as a delusion and and said that the only difference between a trans person, which I'm glad she deleted, even though I'm throwing it back out there, the difference between a trans person and a mental insane person was a straight jacket. Now she went too far there, and I appreciate the fact that she deleted the video because I disagree with that concept. I disagree with what she was saying, but I understood where she was coming from because you know what? Before women can wear pants, if a woman was wearing pants, she was considered crazy. When a woman was hysterical, guess where she went? She went to the nutty bin because they were like, oh, she's nutty. So craziness is defined differently through each generation, right? And at some point, being LGBTQ was actually considered a, what's the word? Was, I don't want to say crazy, but was considered you had a mental illness at some point, right? So now it's been normalized. So I disagree with her because I think in that regards, because what you identify as, it could be because that's the way you were born. It could be through nature, it could be through nurture, or whatever the case may be, maybe through attraction. I don't know. So I don't believe it's a mental illness, but I do believe the fact that you keep trying to force me to say I'm cis may be a mental illness because why the hell I have to say I'm a cis woman versus just a woman? So I'm
Yeah,
going to
sorry.
say, I accept you for who you are. Just don't force it on me. And I also accept you if you want to be a woman, but then you give birth, or you want to be a man and you have a uterus and you give birth, then I'm going to say, congratulations, Ma, because you gave birth. And then afterwards, I'm going to say, all right, okay, Pops, because Brittany, wasn't it Brittany, what, Renner? No, not Renner.
Reiner?
Yeah, that's it, and now she having daddy issues where she's put on child support for the baby that's not even hers. So you want all that drama? I support you with that drama. So just don't infringe on my rights to call me what I want to call myself, just like I won't infringe on your rights to call you what you want to call yourself.
Jay, like you want to get in there. Say
No,
something.
man.
I'm saying, well,
He was like, she gonna get all the
I
smoke
was
now.
Right,
I
you
was
want some of this?
no,
No.
listen, I agree wholeheartedly with S&M. Because again, I think it really just depends on where you land for real. And more in practical application of life, we're not dealing with these things for real, right? So a lot of the times it just depends on how we choose to address people, what we choose to acknowledge. And most people are decent. You know what I mean? But I will say this though, and I gotta say it, I'm trying to find the most the best way to say this. I can understand how some people may question the mental capacity of someone to believe they are something they have never had the experience of, especially if you try to quantify what that thing is externally. I'm gonna just leave it there. Because I've just never wondered, like a person who's never been a thing, how would you know what that thing feels like or is like if you've never? That's the riddle that I find myself still trying to answer. You get what I'm saying? I get that because the way my brain works, it's almost like Rachel Dolezal a little bit, right? It's like you think you know what this experience is, but how? And then if the only thing that you can do is approximate it through how you show up in the world, we'll call it cosplaying, but we don't like that when it's transracial. But anywho, so I just got questions in terms of how people who are not a thing can think they are a thing they've never been, and what basis are they basing that feeling off of? That's the thing I'm trying to. Maybe it's a question for another day. Maybe we'll have somebody who could tap into the show and provide that answer for us. But it is. But to your point, S&M, there was a period of time, and it wasn't that far off, where certain things were classified in a certain type of way when it came to mental health. And so, yes, things are being normalized. We're gonna give thoughts and prayers to everybody. Look, we all want everybody to be happy, live their best lives.